folks, thank you for coming on Penny Essentials live talk show. Last week we have Catherine with us, who shared with us about the five tips we should look out for in order to boost our immune system. This week, I have with me Jaclyn Thooi, and she is from bAlign Pilates Studio that is in Solaris du Thames. Most people know that as Publica. So Jaclyn, thank you for coming to my show, and can you introduce yourself a little?
Yes, hello, hi everyone, and thank you, Penny, for hosting me. As Penny introduced, I'm Jaclyn. I'm the founder of bAlign Pilates Studio. I've been teaching for about 10 years plus, and I specialize in women's health, specifically pre- and postnatal and diastasis recti, and also scoliosis for general populations. If you'd like to know more about me, you can check me out at my website, www.balignpilates.com. Yeah, thanks
you. Jaclyn. So for those of you who don't know, Pilates is a form of exercise. It's also, I would say, for me at least, I would categorize it as a form of therapy even, right, for getting better. I've actually experienced different types of exercise, dance exercise, yoga exercise, and even Pilates exercise. When I first come about Pilates exercise, it was because of a condition that I had. Well, I didn't have any injury or anything like that, or I don't have scoliosis, but I have probably they would consider me a very bad posture at that point in time. Later on, I only found out that I was diagnosed of TMJ disorder. That's temporomandibular joint disorder, which means the joint here is not what it's supposed to be. So my joint went this way, right? So and basically everything, all the whole entire body system gets affected, and little did I know that caused a chain reaction, and just normal standing a bit too long, working on the laptops a bit longer, or even exercising too long will cause me migraines, pains, back aches, neck aches, all sorts of pain. So to increase mobility and to feel better, I was introduced to Pilates. I felt better, definitely. After so I left Pilates for a long time until only recently. A friend of mine, Michelle, she took it up as a form of a sport, right? And it got me curious because it helped me get better, and I thought I wanted to basically introduce Pilates to my life regularly, and that's how I started, and that's how I met Jaclyn. And I think we're joking right now that I'm actually more regular than Michelle. At times. I hope Michelle's not watching today. So that's my introduction into Pilates, and how I end up choosing Pilates as a form of sport or exercise. So Jaclyn, I like to know, I think a lot of people like to know as well, if it is common for people to have injuries during exercise. I mean, do they the pains and all that, is that common coming from exercise?
Yes, sometimes pain depends on what pain. If it's a good pain, then it's fine. But sometimes there are certain pain that you know that it's just not right, and that's actually a sign that you had injured yourself during your workout. Yeah, and sometimes it can be common because of the environment that you're working out in. Yeah.
So how would I know that? Because let's just say I'm new, right? Or even if a regular, a person who goes for exercise, how would I know that that's a good pain as opposed to a not so good pain?
Okay, that one, I'll come to that later, yeah. But usually what happens, how can injuries happen is that people may sign up for incorrect classes that are not suitable for them.
Mm,
Yeah, so that's one scenario that where injuries can happen.
mm,
And the other possibility is that they are training under unskilled or incompetent instructors. For instance, a newbie that is punching above their weight, that
mm,
means they are taking on clients that they are not ready yet, they're
mm,
not experienced yet. So these are the environments that can possibly cause injuries to the client. And how to know whether you have good pain or bad pain. All right. So, for instance, let's say if you are working out in a chest lift, all right. So some call it sit up. So you know that chest lift and sit up is targeting abdominal muscles, right? So at the end, let's say you haven't done any exercise before you previously and you're very much beginners, I can bet that you will feel some pain on your abs if you are working out correctly. So
mm,
that is a good pain because that's the objective of the workout, all right?
mm,
So you will have some muscle ache because you're working out the muscle. But
mm,
however, if you're doing a chest lift, but you're getting a neck pain or a lower back pain, so that's
mm.
a different type of pain. Then the question is, why am I getting all this pain? But that's not the objective of the exercise. So that's actually a signal that you are using the wrong set of muscles for that particular exercise. So that pain, I will categorize it as bad pain,
Right. Okay.
a pain that you're not supposed to have. Yeah.
So we do actually need to know the objective of the exercise, like the repertoire, what it's supposed to do, right? If it's supposed to work on our core, which is the abs, right? So which means we need to feel it in the abs and not feel it on the neck, or arch your back to um, to basically come up, lift up, and then
Mm.
risk feeling the pain on your back.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. I recall now a particular exercise as well, because the thing is, I think one of the thing I was trying to train on is mobility, right? And mobility is not just moving and walking and all that. It's also raising things, right? Carrying certain weight, and I think um, I am used to using like my wrist to to carry that weight. So
Mm.
when there was a certain exercise I was doing in the studio, I risk I it was all bent, and instead of feeling the muscles that is here, I'm actually feeling it here. So the pain
Mm.
was actually from here, and it was
Mm.
starting to be like painful, and I'm like, I can't do it, I
Mm.
can't do it, and
Mm.
when I can't remember, I think it was Jane who corrected me, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to feel it here, and it feels
The tricep.
much,
Yeah.
yes, lighter to be able to
Mm.
hold that,
Mm.
and it was easier to move in that sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So for that, I like to add on. It's not actually mobility, but it's actually a typical case of incorrect execution of the exercise. So, for instance, let's say if you are familiar with Pilates, if you're doing some arm movement with the straps on the hand, so that's a very typical thing. People will go like that.
Yeah.
So that's where you're using your wrist muscles,
Yes.
yeah, instead of the tricep muscles.
Yes.
So yeah, when you're pressing onto the straps. So what you described is actually a very typical case of um, incorrect execution of the exercise. So if the instructor that is not well trained enough and not pick it up, you might think, oh, I'm working out real hard, but actually you're working a wrist.
Yeah, that's why this part is thinner and this is still flabby, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Okay,
So
I
yeah,
understand.
so that's a very typical environment. That's why I said the environment is that you could be signing up for a class that is not suitable for you. Yeah, you're a beginner, but you're doing an advanced class, or you have issues, but you're doing a class that is just not suitable for you. issues, meaning to say, let's say you're pregnant, you're doing a sports class, you know, things like that. Or you are being trained by unskilled instructors, or instructors that not well trained yet. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So for our viewers and audience, take home, right? How then do they, how do they then basically decide what's good for them so that they can prevent these injuries? How do they pick, what they should go and whom they should go with and all that? How do they make that informed choice and decision?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, I'll sum it up to, you are responsible for your own body, because no one else knows your body better than yourself. Yeah. So any form of exercise, be it Pilates or any other exercise, do your own research. Do a background check of the studio. Do the background check of the instructors in the studio and the instructor that's taking your class. So most of the studios, or most centers, they will have readily profile of the instructors and also the anchor instructors available on the website, because that's how it should be, because we are certified, so we are supposed to put it up, right? So that's available. Now, however, if those information that is not available, contact them personally, email or call them up and do a background check. So after that, once you've got all your research information and you think, okay, it looks good and I'm ready to step into the studio to do my workout, that's where you need to communicate with the instructors. All right. So like I said earlier, nobody knows your body better. All right. So you have to tell the instructor what you are feeling. I'll go back to, let's say, like the wrist exercise, the arm exercise, or the chest lift exercise. So if you are doing a chest lift exercise and the instructor have already informed you that it's a chest lift and the muscles that you'll be working is mainly the core muscles or the abdominal muscles, but then you are feeling on your neck. So you should tell your instructor. All right, you should tell your instructors, okay, hang on, I know it's an ab, but why am I feeling on my neck or on my lower back, things like that. So now, then it takes on to the instructors. Once the instructor has been informed of your condition, a well-trained instructor or certified instructor should be able to modify to suit your need, to suit the need of your body. So maybe because you're a beginner, you don't have the strength to come up into that position yet. So the instructor should modify, either regress the exercise or they put in a props to support you to get into the exercise. Yeah. So that's communication. That's important. You have to communicate with the instructors. And then sometimes, from my experience, there are clients that comes in, they have past issues, meaning to say they have injuries, and they will come in with a certain mindset, with a very fearful mindset when they attempt the exercise. So this is where I say it's important that the instructors should be experienced, because when they come in, there's already a holdback for them. So when they attempt exercise, before they even start moving, they already feel all tensed up already. So these are the things that a skilled instructor should be able to pick up and then slowly earn the trust of the client, so that the two of them can work with each other to improve the performance of the client's body.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So all this add up, all right, all this add up will help to prevent, basically all this will form a base to prevent injuries from happening. Yeah. The other thing,
yes.
The other thing is also make sure that you sign up for appropriate classes. Yeah, for instance, let's say if you're a beginner level, make sure you're signing up for a beginner level class and not an advanced level class. Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. So I think the next question I want to ask, basically on behalf of all my friends is that, now we are facing COVID-19, and because of that, most of us are indoors. And despite that, it's still really good to have some exercise, some form of exercise, right? So a lot of us have gone online for those kind of exercise. So what can we do if we can do something about it, to prevent injuries in those cases?
In online classes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's even possible. Because what I'm hearing you say that, you got to check the instructor, and then you've got to visit them and all that. It's a lot of also verifying, so online classes, how and there's also I think offline classes in-person class, you get a lot of instructor checking with you in person, right? So offline online classes, you can't do that, right? That's not available. That option is not available, right? So that probably would increase the risk of injuries a bit more. So, but what can they do if they can do something about it to prevent it or to reduce it?
Okay. All right. Yeah, I do agree. Like you say, online classes, I would say my personal opinion, I do find it that you have a higher risk of injuries compared to in person. Because I always comes with the principles, a good quality class, it requires at least three things. You need a visual cue, you need a verbal cue, and you need a tactile cue. So unfortunately, in an online class, you're missing out definitely the tactile. You cannot touch. So, and then both the visual and the verbal cues are being compromised. So because of this factor, the online classes have a higher inherent risk of injuries. Now, to how to prevent injuries in online classes is, it comes back to the same principles. You take ownership of your body. So what I understand now, what's available on the market is that you have those pre-recorded classes, you have those live classes, and you have live interactive classes. So pre-recorded is those that you see on YouTube, that you play and then you just copy their moves. So live is something similar. It's like what we log in, then the instructor will be teaching and then you just follow. So now comes the live interactive. Live interactive, I would say, is something like similar like now, like Penny, for instance, Penny and I, we are logging into Zoom, and then Penny and her friends will be doing exercise on the other end. Well, I will be supervising. The interactive comes in when I look at her, when she does her movement, and I'll try to my best to correct her with visual and verbal cues. Yeah. So coming to what class should I sign in order to minimize the injuries? So it depends on yourself. So if let's say if you're a person that you have been working out a lot, you have been doing Pilates like for 5 years before this MCO, by all means, and you're familiar with all the cues, you can choose any classes. Yeah. But however, if you are new to exercise itself, even with Pilates, I would strongly suggest that you sign up for the appropriate class by logging into a live interactive class. So at least what you can do is to minimize the chances of injuring yourself. And also the good thing is you'll be able to build a fundamentals, yeah, to progress on eventually when the MCO is expired. It's done. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So hope that answers most of the questions.
It does very much. So what I'm hearing is live interactive class is like the next best alternative if we really want to do online. A lot of my friends here might not know what that really means, because I think they know online classes, but live interactive is actually two things, because there's also live demo and live interactive, as in like what you just said, we demo it and then we look at the client and see whether the client did it correctly, but we're only doing it based on our visual cue, right? So so far, I have seen very, very little offerings of this available at this moment in time, because live interactive requires the instructor to look at all the participants, right? And I know Jaclyn does that. So she's the only one that I know who does so far right now. And in each class, there is a lot of attention that is given. There's only a maximum 4 in each class, so that she can look at us all at the same time, whilst still being able to basically have a good 1 hour kind of workout. So that's, which is the whole difference between a demo class, even if it's online, and interactive class online. Yeah. So I can't wait actually for a live class, you know, in studio class, because there's just so many things that we can do with the machines, right? The reformers, and the co-align, and all these other cool gadgets that I've not even touched on yet in your studio.
Yes, yeah. So that brings to, actually I'd like to add on is that unfortunately of the MCO, so the only classes that we can have now is online class. But no matter what, I would still recommend that all of you who are interested in Pilates to try an in-person class. Meaning to say you actually physically go to the studio when MCO ends, yeah, because in all quality services or product, the fundamentals are very important. You know how much I emphasize, because without the fundamentals, without a solid good fundamentals being built, no matter what you start layering on top, is never a solid base. The product is never a solid base product. So as mentioned earlier, a good class, you need the 3 cues: the verbal, the visual, and the tactile. And all this can only be performed in an in-person class. Yeah.
Yes. So when we build a house, we need to lay the bricks and lay the foundation proper, so that, you know, with or without supervision, 5 years later, we are able to hold, you know, the exercise properly. So we are really on time. This is really good, great timing. I just like to summarize. For someone who are looking to exercise, even if they have previous conditions, it's good for them to do that. But there are things that they should look out for when they're looking for something that is for them, whether Pilates or not. So basically, if they have pre-existing conditions, they should look out for instructors and studios that support that, basically that condition, you know, and that is qualified to do that. So if they have scoliosis or basically injuries from tennis or golf and all that, right, they should look out for those kind of studios who can handle that. The instructors should be able to handle that, you know. And then basically look at the qualifications of the instructor, and if you can also talk to them before signing up, and sign up for a level of class that is in your range rather than out of your range. If you're beginners, then start with beginners, right? If we have injuries, we probably want to start with beginners anyways, right? Yeah.
So,
May
I just add on a little, Penny?
Yes,
I just
please.
realized there's something about the online classes. Yeah, so the online classes, the other important thing is, apart from choosing the right class, it's also important that you choose the right class with the right instructors. Meaning to say, like, let's say if you have any pre-existing injury conditions, and if you do intend to sign up for a live class, make sure that you're choosing an experienced instructors to take on your class. Yeah, because you will need the experience of the instructors in order to pick up all the points and make sure that you're executing it correctly.
Got it.
That's yeah.
Got it. So I'm checking in the meantime. I'm actually multitasking. In the meantime, while you're explaining, I'm actually checking the messages. You've got friends actually saying hi to you, Diego, Chia.
And Lisha, I saw that. Hello.
And then I have a friend, Dina Edmonds. She is also a Pilates person. She's in KK. Yes, you have Lisha Ang. And then Okay, guys, viewers, thanks for watching. If you have any questions for us, please feel free to, actually not for me, not for us, for Jaclyn. She's the expert here. So if you have any questions, whilst I still have her online and live in person, please ask it on the Facebook so we can actually address it right now. Let me see. Someone said our clothes are matchy.
Sorry? Oh, the top.
Yes, Facer, your other student, she was saying, yes, you check her post. She wonders how you manage to see what she does wrongly, even over the Zoom. You know, I've asked you that before. I've actually asked you that before.
That's where experience comes in.
Actually, the thing is, Pilates is it's not about executing the movement in a fast way, right? It's about executing it in a right way, steady way, but using your breath to help you. So you should be able to flow with that breath, your muscle. And the thing is, I'm just guessing. Jaclyn, please do correct me. I think when you are using your breath and you're moving, your muscles are moving, your body is moving. So she can pick up the little minute movements and can see the movement of the muscles. And that's how she knows whether the correct muscles are actually moving or not. And when it's not moving or the wrong muscles are moving, that's when she corrects you. I'm just saying it by experience. Yes, no formal background. No technical background here.
Yeah, so I guess, over a number of, I've been teaching for quite a number of years already. Like throughout the time, roughly what are the things that you should see and what are things that usually happen and not supposed to happen, and you see that. So from that, that's where we tend to pick up, like how we know whether the client is moving correctly or not.
Yeah. So I hope that answers Face's question, although she didn't put a question mark to that statement. It doesn't look like there are any other questions. So if there are no other questions, it looks like, all our sessions, our participants and audience, they understand everything. So how cool is that? There are no other questions, but folks, if you have any more questions, do leave it there for us, and me or Jaclyn, I'll pick it up, and then I'll speak with Jaclyn and get you answers to those questions. So I just like to thank you all for hopping on and watching us live to talk about how we can prevent injuries while exercising, or when you partake in an exercise. So thanks again, Jaclyn. Thanks for taking this time and spending it with us, with the audience, and sharing us good tips and nuggets that we can actually use for exercise.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you.
All right, then. Bye.
Bye.